I'm going to go over Essay 2 really quickly. Essay 2 is a rhetorical analysis, and I had a lot of questions already about what a rhetorical analysis is exactly, so I thought it would be important to kind of go more in depth about the instructions. So the rhetorical analysis assignment, you can click right there, right under our instructions for Essay 2. And depending on your school is depending on what the articles are. So don't focus on this video's articles too much. So you'll notice, right, we have the title, rhetorical analysis. For the rough draft, you'll need to have 2 pages fully by the due date. You'll also have 2 days to complete the peer review by Sunday. And then whenever your final draft is due, will be posted right at the top right there, right? So this is a 1,000 to 1,200 word rhetorical analysis of only one of the articles listed on your prompt, okay? Only one. Not all of them. Don't combine multiple of them, just one. You will analyze aspects of the text's main argument and evaluate the argument's effectiveness, right? So I put this in bold and even focus on it. For this assignment, you will be focusing on the article's rhetorical strategies and not your own personal opinions of the subject discussed in the article. So if you were going to write about Un-American Uncool, let's say, you're not going to say, yeah, representation about Asian Americans is really problematic in society. What's going on? We aren't really, we aren't giving them their full credit. Something like that. That's taking it kind of on a side tangent about the topic of the essay, right? And then alternatively, students sometimes fall trapped to summarizing. Well, Doss talks about this, and then she talks about that, and then she talks about that. That's not really a rhetorical analysis because you're not analyzing, you're just restating what she's saying, right, in a different way. So a rhetorical analysis is where you take it one step further and you're looking at how effective is Doss's argument in Un-American Uncool, right? How well does she make her point? And there are other things in this prompt to kind of guide you on answering that, right? But so the specifics. In your introduction, you will need to introduce a very brief constructive summary of the text you are analyzing, followed by a clear, well-developed thesis statement at the end of the intro. So yes, you do need to tell me what the main argument is in the intro. However, you're not going to keep summarizing in depth, right? Your summary should always just be brief to give me, or your reader in general, right, the context of where you're looking at or what you're kind of thinking, but not where you're just only summarizing. Okay, so your thesis, right? I'm highlighting it here like I did in prompt 1. So this is what your thesis needs to be. So your thesis should reflect a fair evaluation of the text's effectiveness and let readers know what you intend to argue or prove. So in Un-American Uncool, Doss's argument is effective because, right? Doss's argument was ineffective because. Doss's argument was convincing to readers because, something like that. And you can alter it, you can do something different, but that should be generally along the lines of your last sentence in your intro, right? So your body paragraphs will provide a well-supported analysis of the main argument and the rhetorical strategies, which you're going to be learning about the rhetorical strategies this week and next week, the author used to convey it. Your essay must provide strong supporting evidence from the text. But essentially, I give you all these questions that I want you to address in your essay, okay? So what is the major claim of the argument or the thesis, right? What does the author hope to accomplish and convince of the readers? This could be something you include in your intro paragraph because you are giving me that little summary of what the main thesis is, right, or main point is. 2, what audience does the argument address and what audience does it ignore and why? I'm going to tell you right now, it is never everyone. A lot of students love to say, oh, this essay was written for everyone. Dig deeper. It's probably not written for everyone. Who are they trying to get to focus on this? In Doss's argument, you could easily say the American public. You could easily say, possibly dominant culture. You could say it's written for, a certain group. Just find a certain group of people that you think it's kind of like geared towards. So 3, which rhetorical appeals does the argument make use of and which influences readers most? So the rhetorical appeals, which you're going to learn about, are also called the rhetorical devices: ethos, pathos, logos, right? So you can focus on those elements here. You can focus on style, vocabulary, tone that's being used in the text, right? Is it more formal? Is it more informal? Why does that matter? How does that affect also who they're probably addressing, right? What aspects of the argument work better than others? 4, what kind of evidence does the author use to prove his or her claims? Are they using a lot of, facts? Are they using a lot of statistics? Are they using a lot of data? Or are they using a lot of anecdotal evidence, meaning like people's personal stories? How does that affect, whether you find it convincing or not? Is that sufficient? Is it lacking? Is there any hole in the argument that you felt like could have been addressed a little bit more in depth? What assumptions does the author make regarding the subject matter? And do these assumptions weaken the argument? So is the author assuming that students already know something or already feel something? What do we think? Kind of address that. The requirements are all listed here. So craft an enticing and relevant title. Sorry, my dog has the itchies. Have a clear, well-developed, thought-provoking thesis at the end of your intro. Offer your own original ideas and analysis, so don't just summarize and don't rant about the topic like I said at the very beginning of this. Ensure body paragraphs provide strong answers and analysis of all of those questions I just reviewed above. Write in an appropriate tone, no colloquial language, meaning no slang, right? No wannas, gunnas, couldas, shouldas, wouldas. Third person, meaning there are no I's in this essay. Essay 1 was allowed I's. This essay is not allowed I, me, mine, my, anything like that. You want to avoid we's too much as well. And no you's, no second person ever, ever, ever in formal writing. You want to supply evidence, meaning direct quotes. So we need to start direct quoting. We got to start jumping into that deep end a little bit. Clearly introduce and analyze all quoted paraphrase material, right? So we're supposed to be framing our quotes. Show the reader how the examples you've provided, right, prove your points. So always follow up a quote with about 2+ sentences of explanation, right? How is this addressing your thesis of whether this is an effective or ineffective argument, right? Always circle around like that. Be sure your introductory sentences transition smoothly and work to introduce the ideas, right? We want solid intro sentences that are like mini thesis statements. They work for the entire paragraph. Write with clarity, precision, demonstrating mastery of English grammar. Don't get too hung up on like how intense that language sounds. Just work on reading your papers out loud so that it sounds clear. I'm going to tell you right now, reading it out loud and listening for those mistakes and really truly stopping at the punctuation wherever you placed it will help you start to tweak your grammar quite a bit. Adhere to MLA format, 1,000 to 1,200 words. You're going to need a works cited, right? Because we are looking at an outside essay. You're not bringing in outside research, but you're looking at one of these articles, right? And so you need to cite that and then submit it when it's due. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and let me know so that we can discuss it further, because I want to make sure that you feel confident in where you're at and what's going on, okay?